Hello, I'm Dr. Ravindranath. Welcome back to this series of video lectures on microprocessors and microcontrollers. We are discussing the microcontrollers of Intel Series 8051. In this video, we'll be discussing about the internal architecture of the 8051. We'll start with the discussions on the external view of the 8051, that is the pin diagram. We look at what are the different signals, how to identify the pins, and the names of the signals for that particular pins. Then we will see the internal components of the 8051. What are the internal components that are main parts of the 8051 microcontroller? So let me take you to my website, careforyou.in. So starting with the discussions on the pin diagram of 8051. 8051 is basically an Intel series of a microcontroller, which is an 8-bit microcontroller built using the CMOS technology. The different features of 8051 is that it has 4 ports. It has a inbuilt ROM and the RAM. It has different I/O lines which are multiplexed so that multiple functions can be carried out through those. It has a watchdog timer, which is a free-running clock and is an additional oscillator in addition to the external clock signals of the external oscillator. Then it has 2 data pointers, one to point into the program memory and another to point into the data memory. The data memory pointers are DPL and DPH. It is basically a 16-bit pointer which is accessed using the 2 8-bit registers, DPTR low and DPTR high. Then it has 2 16-bit timers or counters. They find numerous applications in the controllers application, including generation of the interrupt signals or the introducing the delay. Then it has 5 vectors, and these vector interrupts can be from different sources. Then it has a full duplex serial port. Coming to the pin diagram of the 8051, as seen, it is a 40-pin DIP package. DIP stands for dwelling line package. There are pins on 2 sides of this package, and you find a notch on to one side of the vector. When you hold this notch upside, so onto your left is pin number 1 and onto your right pin number 40. 20 pins on each side. So what you see here is there are 4 ports named as port 0, port 1, 8-bit port, port 2, another 8-bit port, and port 3, another 8-bit port. So you find that there are 4 ports named as port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. Each one of these ports is 8 bits. The basic function of each of these ports is nothing but for the I/O activities. But port 0, port 2, and port 3 have additional functionalities as well. Port 1, in addition to the I/O, it carries the address and the data. So it is a multiplexed address and data lines. Port 2 is also multiplexed so that it carries the address as well as the data. Port 3 has some additional meanings or additional functionalities assigned to each of these pins, and these are the interrupt line, read-write lines, and the timer T0, T1. When you keep inside this particular package, you find that there are the 4 ports which are 32-bit lines, you have the internal timers, adders, A to D converters, and so on. Then you have the CPU, then you have the RAM and the EEPROM for storing the complete program memory. Now, having seen the internals and an external view of the 8051 microcontroller, now it is time to peek inside further, deeper, so as to know what is the inter architecture of the 8051. I am referring to my website www.care4u.in. Now, in this section of the video lecture, we are discussing the internal architecture of 8051. When we say internal architecture, we are interested in what are those major components which are part of the IC, which constitute the IC. So 8051 is an Intel series microcontroller built in the early 80s. So it is basically an 8-bit controller, and it is built around the Harvard architecture. And when we say a Harvard architecture, then it means the program and the data memory are separated. The program memory is separate and the data memory is separate. And so is their pointers. There is a pointer pointing to the data memory. There are the pointers which point to the program memory. Generally, the PC points to the program memory, and the DPTR, data pointer, points to the data memory. The major components that can be seen inside this architecture or the backend, you find that there is a ALU, arithmetic and logic unit, which gets its input from the register A and register B, which can be loaded with the data necessary. Upon performing an operation, the result is transferred back onto the data bus, internal data bus, for being carried to different destinations, or in addition to the result being transmitted or stored into the internal register, it also indicates the status, and the status of the present operation is stored into the PSW, program status bar. So your PSW stores the current status of operation that has happened within the ALU. Then you have some registers which are called as SFRs, special function registers. When you look at the memory, internal memory of the 8051, so you have the RAM and the ROM which are part of the internal architecture. The RAM basically is built up in the form of registers, whereas the lower part of the RAM, which is 128 bytes, it constitutes 4 banks of the registers, 16-byte bit addressable memory, and the rest called as a scratch pad. So the lower 128 byte of the RAM, it contains 4 banks of the registers. By default, the bank 0 is active, but we can change the bank by setting certain bits into the PSW, that is bit number 3 and 4, which are called as the RS0 and RS1 bits. So the different combinations of those 2 bits, because since the bits are RS0 and RS1, 2 bits can select 4 registers. And since there are 4 banks of the registers, one of the banks will be selected depending upon the bit combinations. Above the registers, you have a bit addressable memory and followed by the scratch pad memory. The memory above the scratch pad is called as a SFR. 128 bytes of SFR are available, but of the 128 bytes, only the 21 active SFRs are used in the case of 8051. 8052 has additional 128 byte RAM that can be addressed indirectly. So this is what exactly the internal details are. You have the RAM, you have set of registers, you have the DPTR, which are in two parts, DPL and DPH. Then you have PC, which points into the program memory. Then you have the ROM, where the program are stored, the data memory and the program memory. Then you have the certain latches, which are interfaced with the ports, which actually carry the data outwards or inwards. Then you have the timing and control unit. Once the instructions are fetched from the microcontroller, they are decoded and necessary timing and control signals are generated, so that the operations of the ALU or other units are controlled by a particular respective timing or the control signals. So what we have seen here is that there is a data memory, and this data memory is 256 bytes in case of 8051, where the lower 128 byte and another 128 byte, which is the indirect address. Then you have the register banks. There are 4 banks of the registers. There are some special function registers in the upper 128 bytes of the memory, and these registers are the 4 port registers P0, P1, P2, P3. Then you have the stack pointer, then 2 data pointers as a DPL and the DPH. Then you have the TCON, PCON, and the T mode register for the timer control, timer mode. Then you have the TL0, TL1, TH0, TH1, the timer registers, 16-bit registers, the data stored into the TL0 and TH0, TL1 and the TH1. The 2 registers split into 8 bits each, using the names as TL0, TH0 for the first register, first timer register, and the second timer is TL1 and TH1. Then you have the 2 SFRs known as a SCON and the SBUF. Then the interrupt register IE and a pointer register IP, a program status word, and 2 general registers called as a and register B. In addition to this, you have a program memory. Accumulator and register B are basically used for a different type of arithmetic operations. Then we saw the program counter. It is used to point to the next instruction in the program memory. DPTR is used to point into the data memory. 4 ports. You have the bus, which are multiplexed with the certain bits of the IO pins. Then you have the address bus, data bus. The PSW is again an 8-bit, and see the combinations of the different status bits within the PSW. You have the parity bit, the least significant bit. Then you have the overflow flag, RS0, RS1. They are used for register bank selection. When they are 00, bank 0 is selected. By default, bank number 0 is selected. Then you have a user-defined flag, you have the auxiliary carry and the carry flag. So the flags of 8051 microcontroller are, it has 6 flags. 2 of these bits are used for the bank selection, and the others as a flags called as a parity flag, overflow flag, user-defined flag, auxiliary carry flag, and another as a carry flag. The bank selection are with the help of RS0 and RS1. When these 2 bits of the PSW, bit number 3 and bit number 4 of the PSW is 00, bank 0 is selected, and the other combination leads to the selection of bank 1, bank 2, bank 3. So only 4 banks are available in the 8051. So the 2 bits are sufficient to address or to select the different banks of the 8051. So what we have seen in this video lecture, we started with the basics or the pin diagram of the 8051. Then we So just keep the inside in the 8051